me make one thing fucking clear real quick. These motherfuckers never gave a fuck about your babies. All right? They never gave a fucking goddamn about your kids. Nobody's kids. Hell, not even their own fucking kids. Their kids go to school. Unless they homeschool them. Then the issue is not even remotely their concern. Not even a little bit. I'd imagine maybe a little bit more about if their kids went to a school district. Like a school. But if they homeschool them, whatever. Not my problem. If they're cis, they're white, they're a dude, they're Christian, they're conservative, hey man, it's mental illness. One trans man shooting up a fucking Christian school. It's an attack on our faith. God damn. It's fucking wild to me, man. Like, listen, we talked about many a time, and probably many video essayists and other political streamers and shit that you like to watch. I've also talked about it at some point, if they're on the left, that is. Which, if you're in my community, I would hope that's the case. But, man, listen. Christianity is a fucking death cult. Alright? We all fucking know this. Their stance on Israel, it's not for Israelis' sake. It's not for Jewish people's sake. It's not for Israel's sake. They want Israel to stay a strong superpower in order to ensure that the rapture comes to pass. For purely selfish reasons, purely self-centered, ulterior fucking motives. They want to make sure they got their ticket to heaven. Right? So they already have an illogical premise, an insane, illogical premise. So, of course, their actions and their behavior and their thoughts on certain events like a shooting in Nashville is also going to be insane and illogical. That's why they're fixated right now, not just on the gender of the shooter, but of who was shot. The location the shooting happened at. Why, the transgender person, it's mental illness, it's a Christian school, it's an attack on our faith. Dude, why wasn't the Christchurch shooting an attack on your faith? If I remember correctly, there was no talk about attack on our faith when the Christchurch shooting happened. What about the mosque, the synagogue? Was it an attack on their faith? If there was mention of it, was there fixation of it? There's a fixation now. They are so obsessed with how it was shot up at a school. So obsessed with the fact that the shooter, out of 2,040 something, since 2018. 2018. All right, that was 5.5 years ago. Since 2018, there have been 2,000 and almost 50. I think it's like 2,043, 44, something like that. There have been almost 2,050 mass shootings in 5.5 years. 3 of them have been perpetrated by trans people. And suddenly it's a hot, dude, that's the problem right there, right? I mean, dude, it's so fucking obvious, you know, and like the fact that people are focused on that and focused on the school and then Dude, no, motherfucker, no. It's a shooting. Anyone who tries to make it about the school, or anyone who tries to make it about the shooter, is proof that we are we are desensitized to mass shootings. That we have successfully consummated the body and blood of dead kids upon the altar of the Second Amendment, or what they interpret to be the Second Amendment. Very incorrectly interpretation of the Second Amendment. They don't give a fuck about your fucking kids, okay? They don't fucking care. They don't give a shit. They never did. They never gave a shit. They certainly don't now. Because that's not what it's about. It's not about the guns. It's not about the children. It's about the fact that the school was a Christian school and the shooter was a trans man who they're either confusing with being a trans woman or just straight up dead naming and misgendering him. Instead of Aiden, Aubrey, instead of him, her, instead of man, or even trans man, woman, which like that's not the issue here, but that's like an issue here, you know what I mean? Like that's not the point, but at the same time, like, why are you? Well, probably because they don't fucking understand. And I think that's somewhat the point. They don't understand trans people. They don't understand sex and gender, sexuality, gender roles. They don't understand the difference between those things. You know, just like how if you went to any fucking Catholic priest and asked them what's the difference between the spirit and the soul, you ask a conservative what's the difference between gender and sex, they won't be able to fucking tell you. They don't fucking understand. They don't know. They don't want to know. It's not trying to understand that is like trying to get me to get interested in like sports video games. You know, I just don't care. I just, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. Me not giving a shit about MLB 2K24 about to come out or whatever the fuck, or the new LeBron cover on the new basketball game. That's a video game. This is this is dead children and a mass shooting. And here's the thing: they try to make it like as if, you know, like we're defending that. No, who in their right fucking mind would defend a school shooter? Dude, they would have a logical premise somewhat, as far as the broader general left is concerned. If it was like a police station, this is a school. These are kids. So to try to make it like we're defending a mass shooter is so insane to me. It's so bad faith. It's so uncharitable. Why? Not just why perpetuate such a blatant fucking lie, but why would people believe this? Because they want to believe it. I don't want to come off too doomer here, and I'm not doomer. But at the same time, a realistic lens here is 1997, I think. So I was like 5 when that one famous shooting happened. Fuck, I forget what it's called though. I forget what the school was, but it was the two kids with the trench coats going around backwards caps. You probably know what I'm talking about. I think one of the kids' last name was like Clyburn or some Clyburn and Hold. Fuck, I forget. I was 5. I was born in 1992. I was 5, maybe 6 years old. And this shit's still going on. And this shit is still misunderstood. It's fucking wild to me, man. You know, that people would be so not only desensitized, but so malevolent, so as to make this completely about something that it is completely not. We know what the fuck they're doing, right? They're trying to paint themselves the victim, number one. Number two, they're trying to do to trans people what the Nazis did to Jews. They're trying to paint anyone who is not who is non-heteronormative in any way or capacity, non-gender conforming in any way or capacity, as being dangerous. This is kind of conspiracy theory territory, but I have an honest speculation. I think they expected something like this to happen, the right wing. I think they expected this to happen. I think they hoped for it. So that way they could turn this conversation around like they're doing right now, in order to aim for the goal that they've had all along, which is paint trans people, non-binary people, non-heteronormative, non-gender conforming, and the left in general as being fucking psychopathic, as being dangerous, as being killers. When we literally were just having discourse, what, like 2 fucking months ago, about not even that, about a militia shooting up a fucking power station to stop a drag show. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So, I don't really know what else to say other than that. But during this time when I'm not streaming or producing new content, I just feel like it's appropriate to just say something, man. I you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Anyways, I gotta get back to work. Love y'all. I'll see y'all later. Let me point something else out real quick. Alongside some of the other things I said, they're trying to call this a fucking hate crime. Okay, number one, if your religion entails doing hate crimes on other marginalized groups, like, you know, justifying taking away trans affirmative health care from trans people and trans kids, and justifying Islamophobia and justifying homophobia and justifying really any form of your unearned superiority complex over other people, namely downtrodden people, who, by the way, Jesus of all people was a pretty big fan of helping and loving unconditionally. If your religion is based off of those things, then sorry, it's okay to do hate crimes against that particular worldview and those who hold them, because you're evil. And number two, you have, on that same premise, no fucking ground to stand on. Your arguments don't hold any water, because, dude, so one time in a while, Christchurch shooting, but one time in a while where a church gets shot up, but the Club Q shooting, the Pulse nightclub shooting, you know, Tops Market, purely just black people getting shot, we're not even going to talk about hate crimes happening here, you know, or we're at least going to minimize it. But you shoot up a Christian church once every several years. Fuck, a decade at this point. Now we got a problem. Now we have a hate crime. Fuck you. Reality is reality, man. You know, like, who are the people who are misgendering? Who are the people who are dead naming? Who are the people who are invalidating trans people's existence? This isn't an excuse to shoot up a fucking school. But I do have questions. From a standpoint of someone who not only is themselves a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, who has had many traumas I've had to work through and am still working through, working with other fresh addicts and alcoholics who are also just dipping their toes in to working on the traumas of their past life. Why did he choose to go back to the school that he went to? A Christian school. And why did the police, who responded and are currently investigating, believe it to be charged with resentment? Knowing the Catholic Church's history with diddling altar boys, I have a sneaking suspicion as to what might have occurred. If this was out of vengeance, they did something to him, who at the time was her. Maybe it fucked him up. Again, not an excuse to shoot up a fucking school and kill other school children who had nothing to fucking do with your trauma. But kind of like how I don't condone or advocate for rioting and looting when that occurred during the BLM protests of 2020, I could still understand why they did it. I could still try and think of what could have occurred at that school when the shooter was younger, and understand why they felt it necessary to do this. There's a manifesto or whatever. We haven't been disclosed the contents of it. But it's got me wondering. Last thing I'm going to say on this, you know, the fact is that there, again, out of 2,050 mass shootings in the past half decade, there only being 3 trans perpetrators. You all have no excuse. We have more of an excuse. I'm not saying we should, but we have more of an excuse to demonize white cis men who are conservative Christians who have tumbled down the fascist theocratic pipeline a bit too far, to the point where taking lives is somehow acceptable, than you do demonizing an entire demographic of marginalized people who just want to piss in their bathrooms in peace over 3 trans people in half a decade. The common denominator here, okay, is fucking guns, all right? I'm not an anti-gun guy, but 3 trans perpetrators, and you're talking, conservatives are talking about disarming trans people? I thought y'all were pro Second Amendment. Anyone should be able to have the right, not the privilege, the right, which means it's unalienable. You can't take it away. Birthright, God-given right to have a gun to protect yourself. 2,000 or so of y'all motherfuckers doing this shit. And a fucking insurrection on the Capitol on top of that. 3 trans people in half a decade and suddenly disarm all of them. They are not allowed to have guns. Y'all were pro-gun control when the Black Panthers had assault weapons. Black Panthers fell off. We have a right to bear arms. Trans people do 3 mass shootings in 5.5 fucking years. Disarm trans people. Now you're kind of going back a little bit on the gun control thing like you did with the Black Panthers. Are you fucking kidding me? We know what you're doing. It's not going to work. Coming back to streaming here soon. Join the Discord. Keep in touch with me there. Elon Musk sucks, so I don't have a Twitter, but I have a Post.News account. Yada, yada, yada. Follow my socials, whatever the fuck. Leave a like, whatever the fuck. Subscribe. Join the cult today, yada, yada, yada. For fuck's sake, dude. This is the most on the fucking nose discourse I think I have ever fucking witnessed. Worse than even the Hogwarts Legacy shit. And that shit was just wild. This is what the fuck. Stop it. It's the guns.